Are those the northern lights behind me? No, I wish they were. Is that owl real? It definitely is in my mind. Do we have a new moon that happens in Scorpio on November 13th? We definitely do, and it's all about tension and hopefully release in the Scorpio parts of your chart. I'm going to talk about some dates actually that go in the past and connect them to now. And I will also talk about some dates in the future and connect them to now. And try to be as focused and concise to show you how this story is not done in the Scorpio and Taurus parts of your chart. My name is Nicolas Polymenakos, aka Sparkles of Gold, and let us begin with a chart. The new moon at November 13th, 2023, 1:27 a.m. Pacific time. Here, the lunation is at 20 degrees Scorpio. We're getting close to 21 degrees right here, but it's 20 to 21 degrees. We also are going to see Mars that's in on the action, literally on the action, that's been building up in the Scorpio world here for a while, where it loves to be, along with being in the sign of Aries. But here it functions differently. The impulse, the action is almost inward on an emotional, intense, intimate level. When focused, can do anything and get through anything. And this is important. At the same time, we want to acknowledge and say that there's a power play here involved whenever Scorpio is involved. Okay? So we will also look at the top of this chart and see Uranus at 21 degrees, which is already mathematically, while I'm making this video, made what they call a 180 degree connection to Mars on Saturday, November 11th. We call this an opposition. Uranus, the planet of rebellion, of bringing something new, erratic, unpredictable, exciting, volatile, cracks open Mars at 21 degrees into the 22 realm and brings that energy into Monday's new moon. And here it's very important to be honest that this is in the easiest of new moons. As a matter of fact, if you are one of those people affected who have signs, planets in fixed signs like Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, let's say between 18 degrees and 26 degrees, you're very affected by this, especially in the sweet spot of 19 to 22. Unpredictability, volatility, a story popping off, a story really that has been going on for several years. Many of you who watch my channel know I've done many videos over the last 2 years about the eclipses that happened in Taurus and in Scorpio. And we just finished the last one in Taurus several weeks ago. And a lot were like happy to have it done. But me, as colleagues and friends have said to me lately, Nicholas, you're kind of a cynical dude, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, I am. Not all the time, but it's a big part of who I am. The other part is I'm just a realist. I'm just as into fantasy and sweet talk and all that stuff, and I recognize the good times. I can say this is actually a good time for you Scorpios. Even if you're Scorpio rising at planets in Scorpio, you might not seem that way for many of you. But you have an opportunity here to break off, or it's happening. Something is severing. Mars, something is separating. Mars and Uranus is bringing this to set the story off if you haven't done it already. And if you've been at the forefront of these changes in your chart, Scorpio peoples, whether you like it or not, this week is a major chapter to closing a door and moving forward. And it can be volatile and heavy and power plays. And there are types of actions that people can regret that they take because of Mars and Scorpio and the type of things that happen in fixed signs where things are internal, and with anything fixed can be moving on a slow pace until they are pushed and something snaps. You don't want to have anybody in fixed signs in your life, or if you're somebody in fixed signs who is stubborn and lets a play story out, and then when you do burst open, people are wondering where the fury came from or why everything's all of a sudden ending. And this is the type of week where we catch this energy of that. Some of you are probably flowing with this. Again, you Scorpio people out there, if you're trying to still figure this out, you know that I got a special reading going on right now. I put it discounted just for you all. I've had a lot of people come my way, and the stories have been incredible. And I believe in you all, and I think this week is symbolic for you to take the step, that last step that is full of fear, full of old habits. Here, Uranus smashes those old habits and requires you to take action. Let's bust out the intricacies of this. So basically, we see that 20-degree Scorpio power here. We want to point out newly ingressed Venus into Libra, where technically she is at home in. Just like Mars is at home in Scorpio. Which place would you rather be right now? Would you rather be in a Venus and Libra place or a Mars and Scorpio place? My opinion is I will pick the Mars and Scorpio. Why? Because that Venus and Libra is super deceiving. And at this moment is in a conversation with Mercury and Sagittarius in a sextile opportunistic aspect. On paper, they're flowing. But to me, they are masking the fact and the intensity of what's been going on with the Scorpio realm of things. That stuff doesn't go away and just disappear. You can only sweet talk because Venus in Libra is a sweet talker. So is Mercury in Sagittarius. Inflates that on hope and optimism. Here's cynical old Nicholas again. To me, I'm looking at this and I'm looking at where Mercury is in Sag and how I made a square to Saturn in Pisces not too long ago. I'm seeing something that's not quite right. Is the truth being told? Is Venus in Libra kind of masking over that? And let us not forget that Venus is going through a pattern here where it's going through an eclipse space that Mars did a month ago in Libra. So it's not all candy to me, Mr. Cynical Nicholas. I'm just being real with you. And let me just take a side note here. I actually want to, I don't care. I'm going to go on one of my rants right here. This is totally deviating from the video. I don't care. You know, I've seen things here on the internet about how people were very happy that Venus went into Libra. Because by tradition, it belongs there. It's at home there as it is in Taurus. I've seen people celebrating this thing. That's great. I've seen people pledging for peace. That's great. By the way, we should be pledging for peace. It doesn't matter where the hell Venus is, right? And it brings me to a point. The way I've seen this talked about is, oh, I'm so glad Venus finally went into Libra because of so-and-so. What's so-and-so? Venus was in Virgo before, technically in its fall. Do you know how many people I've had come to me in the years of practicing astrology that have come to me and told me, I was told or I read some astrologies because of this and that, because Venus is in Virgo, that it's in fall, that is not a good place for it to be. You imagine somebody taking that who doesn't know the nuance of astrology, to know tradition and rules, but to bring it into modern times, that some people take that out there to know that their Venus in Virgo is in a horrible place? Do we tell people with Mercury in Sagittarius, where technically it's not doing well there, that that's a horrible Mercury placement to have? So when people see people celebrating and stuff, it basically says to the masses that, oh, Venus in Libra is a lot better than Venus in Virgo. Now, some of us who are out there, we know the nuance and we understand the classical rules, but we don't just stick there. And this is very important. What we say as practitioners, however you do this, is very important. What you say to yourself, what you say as in if you're holding space and talking to other people about this stuff is huge. You have a responsibility to understand nuance and to be there for people that you write for on your Instagram posts, or a client that comes through your door. If they walk into your door and they're starting to talk about a negative, hard point of view about their chart because of something they read on the internet or because of another astrologer told them, that's an opportunity to really take a bigger step and a bigger look at things and realize the power of the messaging of words. This is my Mars in Scorpio moment personally. I'm sick of it. So, for me, I took this time in this part of the video to go off, and I don't care if people unsubscribe from me or whatever, but I want you to understand, for those of you studying out there, we study the rules. Sometimes we break the rules, but inherently, past all that stuff, we want to take a holistic, heartfelt approach to astrology. That is my code. Will I be real with you like I am in this video and telling you that this is the volatile new moon? It's not the easiest? Yes. Can we say that we're aware of this and so we know how to maneuver and not necessarily say that you're basically in the worst spot and there's nothing you can do? I'm not taking that path, and I never will. End of rant. So let's go back to this chart. And here I want to bring up the past. And so we're going to go into a place that has to do all the way with November 19th. And here I will show you. This is an eclipse chart that actually started the Scorpio and Taurus eclipses on November 19th, 2021. And I just want you to see something here. And we're going to go by degree. We're going to notice that this particular full moon in Taurus that happened there, right? It was like a week before Thanksgiving, was at 27 degrees Taurus. And we see the sun there. But let us point out a 21 degree Mercury in Scorpio. We're also going to make note of Uranus retrograde at 12 degrees. If you notice this, it is completely opposite Mars in Scorpio. It's a Mars-Uranus opposition as we are having right now. So this was part of the eclipse. We're also going to point out that Saturn was in Aquarius at 8 degrees and Jupiter was at this fixed degree of 24 degrees in Aquarius. For kicks, we'll just point out Pluto, just because. So let's get off this chart and let us go to the next chart. And I am going to bring up a particular point in time that has to do with actually 2022. And let's go here. It will be April 30th. You will see it right here at April 30th, 2022, 1:28 p.m. Pacific. Now we're looking at a new moon that happens in Taurus at 10 degrees. We're looking at Uranus at 14. And most importantly here, the north and south nodes were at 22 degrees Taurus. There's south node at 22. For kicks, let's just take a look at Pluto at 28 degrees. Saturn is still in a fixed sign at 24. So let's make note of that. Look at all the Pisces stuff, by the way. So let us go to another chart. Here is not too long afterwards. We're going from April 30th, 2022, and we're actually going to go to May 15th here for a lunar total eclipse that happens at the full moon in Scorpio. This is May 15th, 2022. All right. And we're going to annotate this, point out 25 degrees. Scorpio moon, and look at the south node. It's at 22 degrees. Hence, we have here, Uranus is at 15, 22 degrees. 25. All right. Hey, just for kicks, let's point out Pluto at 28 degrees. All right. And we still see Saturn. Obviously, it's not too long from the last chart. It's at 24. Let's come back to the new moon that's happening. And here we are, 21 degrees. Uranus retrograde, pretty much on the 21, 22 degree place that I've shown you in the last several charts. You will see Mars there. Remember again, Mars is making its opposition to Uranus like we saw in the first eclipse chart. And we see 20 degrees here. Hey, just for kicks. Pluto's at 28 degrees. Now, this new moon, let's look at what else is happening. We talked about the Venus-Mercury here. We're also going to point out something that I find very interesting, which is a 25 degree trine from Neptune that happens to a Scorpio water sign at 20 degrees 22. This is actually brewing all the way the whole week into next Friday's amazing day that I'm going to bring up here. And we want to make note that even though this is volatile, that there is a little possible help of helping dissolve a little bit of the volatility, but at the same time can be very deceptive, very easygoing, lazy from Neptune onto the Scorpio planets. And so I feel like in particular with Mercury being in Sagittarius and Venus in Libra having this conversation that kind of is on the top and not with deep in like Scorpio works, that there's something not being told, or it's masked, that it's kind of being played around with. But really the tension and the volatility between Uranus and all the Scorpio planets, this new moon, something has to change. Something has to release. If it didn't release the weekend before with Mars Uranus, it's going to happen this week, or symbolically be there to set up something for the future. And so that is my take in particular on this new moon. I could take a look at some other things here, like just for kicks, Pluto at 28 degrees, still squaring the nodes. We don't want to forget about this. This is in the background. So, and we also don't want to forget about something else. That Venus in Libra here, is going over the eclipse degrees that Mars in Libra did the last several weeks. And it's going to hit the south node eventually here very, very soon. So it's not all candy. It actually can be a very deceptive lunation. But I think for those who are Scorpios, Scorpio risings, anything in Scorpio, there ain't nothing deceptive about anything right now. I think whether you're hiding it and it hasn't come out yet, you know what the truth is and you know what you have to do. And some of you probably have already taken some actions coming out of the eclipse cycle, and you're feeling really good about some actions you probably did in the last several months. But there's some of you, though, that are stuck, and something has to move and shift. I got a special reading for you all. I'm ranting on this video. I don't care, because to me, the most important work I do beyond this YouTube channel are my one-on-one client sessions. I've had a lot of you come my way the last several weeks when I put my Scorpio special up, and the amazing interactions that I have and the courage that I've seen from my Scorpionic people who do not get enough credit, who sometimes live in that hard, shadowy place, and no one knows about it. I know about it, and I see a door that can close, and I see that new story on the horizon for you. You hit me up if you want to talk about it. Can I be done with my video now? Nope. Let us go to the future. And so we're going to actually talk about something that happens in January. Uranus in Taurus is actually going to not be retrograde anymore, and it's going to station forward at about 19 degrees. This is huge. This is around the area, those degrees I've been talking about. The next thing I'm going to show you is interesting. I was just happened to be checking this out, and it's actually a new moon chart that actually happens on February 9th, 2024, 2:59 p.m. Pacific. This is a new moon that happens in Aquarius. Let's bring it at 20 degrees, right? And we are going to look at some other planets involved. We're going to look at Mars at 27 degrees, pretty much at the point where Pluto has been that I keep bringing up. We're looking at Uranus now at 19, that's moving forward. Jupiter is moving forward at this point. It started to move forward December 30th, 2023. So now Neptune is forward, Saturn is moving forward, Jupiter and Uranus. We start the year with a lot of the outer body, pretty much all the outer body planets completely coming out of retrograde and moving forward. The story is starting to speed up here, okay? So we want to notice this point, 20-degree fixed lunation, okay? I like that chart. I like the moving forward part. All right, let's keep going. Since you're still with me here on this one, we're going to look in particular to, let me find this here, to this particular date. A big one. And this is April 20th, 2024. This is when Uranus and Jupiter are exactly conjunct in the sky at 21 degrees. Pretty much where this new moon in Scorpio is happening at 20 degrees in late change, basically 21 degrees. It is happening on the same point where Uranus is in the new moon retrograde. Here, Jupiter and Uranus are setting off this point. And now you can hopefully see what I'm getting to here is that you Scorpionic people and you Taurus people have stuff at these degrees. The story's not done. Now, do I say unfortunately? No, we say fortunately, because from the time this new moon happens on Monday the 13th to this point, and when you have all the outer body planets moving forward since January, this is when the story starts to move fast, and you could be at the driver's seat of the theme and storylines in your life in the Scorpionic part of your chart. That's how I'm rolling on this video. That's what I came with in my head. Not only that, we're going to just take a look at what else. Pluto's already going to be in Aquarius for a little bit, for a while, right? And we see a Saturn-Mars conjunction that recently happened. A lot of Aries stuff, because 2 weeks before this, we had two major eclipses that happened in Aries and Libra, and you see the themes and the stuff shifting here in the springtime, where a lot of action of moving forward is happening. So, do I have another chart for you? Let me see. I could just end this right now, couldn't I? But I will. And no. One more chart. And here is a new moon that happens May 7th, 2024. Let us take a look at an 18-degree Taurus new moon. Venus will be there, and you see how Uranus is still at 22 and 25-degree Jupiter in Taurus. Well, that's starting to get to away from the degrees I mentioned in this whole video. I kind of mentioned this degree earlier in the video. Well, what does it matter? Why does this even matter? And here's my last point to you, and I'll show you why it matters. And it's because of here. And I will actually go to the day. I'll pick the exact moment, and here it is. On November 17th, next Friday, one of the biggest transits of the year happens, where Mars at 25 degrees makes a conjunction with the sun. And you Mars and Scorpio people, you Scorpio people here, you walk through the fire to be burned. And that thing you've been holding on to for years now, you go back as far as you want. The thing that you know, and I'm talking directly to you Scorpio people. That thing, you know exactly what it is. You get to burn it down. Go all in like you usually do, with courage, 100%, and jump into that abyss, into the sun. If you have to do a ritual, symbolically do something, make a decision, I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do, but just know that the door is closing from a big something in the past, and one is opening. And when Mars goes through the sun and slowly starts to come from that place and starts to move ahead, it starts a new cycle for Mars. But really, we get into the springtime and eventually till May of next year, where a lot of movement's going to happen from now till then. Use it to your advantage. Get a hold of me if you need to talk about a plan to do this, and we can look at the other transits. And in general, if anybody has made it this far to my wildness, thanks. To those who didn't, oh well. Who am I? My name is Nicolas Polymonakos, Sparkles of Gold. I made this video, not off the top of my head, but I've been thinking about it all week, and I've been thinking about the attention in the explosive type of energy that's going into this new moon that's been building up for a while. I was thinking about the decisions that people have probably made this weekend and this week that are actually severing and uncontrollable because of Uranus setting off Mars and setting off the new moon, and how some people might regret the actions that they've taken because they couldn't take it anymore, or someone just pushed the wrong button. Something that was building up for such a long time got set off. Now, the key thing to remember is how you deal with that energy. If you can stop and catch yourself and not do something completely impulsive and wild that's detrimental to a situation, stop and take a break and deal with the emotional part of it in a healthy way, you more than have half the battle done. Can you channel that possible deep anger for some of you out there into something productive and healthy and creative? I think you can. Here, if you're watching this video right before the new moon, lay low. It's a balsamic moon. We're going into this in Scorpio. This is where we want to chill out if possible. But if you couldn't help it, or someone couldn't help it in your life to push you past the edge, you don't have to take drastic type of detrimental actions in your life or to yourself. Go find that healthy, great place for yourself and channel the energy. And when you channel volatile Mars Uranus energy and Scorpionic energy, you can do anything. You could pull anything off. You can not just end the story, but that amazing something of an idea that was behind you, in you for a long time, the vision that you've had for yourself, or in the Scorpionic part of your chart, Uranus comes in and can give you the electrical kick in the ass, basically, to get it done. And then you can push through all the way till spring from some of the dates that I've shown you. Now I will take a deep breath. And thank you for watching.